Group Captain Varun Singh, the only survivor of the horrific helicopter crash that also killed India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Rawat, has died in Bengaluru of his injuries. A Shourya Chakra Gallantry Award winner, Group Captain Singh was made of the right stuff.
This was the brave Indian Air Force officer who fought for 7 days before becoming the final victim of the horrific Indian Air Force helicopter crash in Kannur. All on board the chopper are now dead, including India's first Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. Fighting 90% burn injuries, Group Captain Varun Singh never regained consciousness. He was on life support at the command hospital in Bengaluru, where he was shifted. In a tweet, the Prime Minister wrote, "Group Captain Varun Singh served the nation with pride, valour and utmost professionalism. I'm extremely anguished by his passing away." Varun Singh was an inspiration to all around him. A Shourya Chakra winner for gallantry, his motto in life was to never give up. Facing a series of grave malfunctions on a Tejas fighter, he chose not to eject, landing the jet instead under impossible conditions. Never give up was a message he passed on to students at Army Public School where he studied. Never lose hope. Never think that you cannot be good at what you want to be. It will not come easy. It will take effort. It will require sacrifice of time and comfort. Believe in yourself. Work towards it. Don't worry about being mediocre. I was mediocre in school, but then went on to win Shourya Chakra. Group Captain Singh's father retired as a colonel in the army. His brother is a lieutenant commander in the navy. He leaves behind a wife and 2 children.
Well, an extremely sad loss that. Joining us to look at Group Captain Varun Singh, somebody who knew him very well and his entire family, Vice Admiral Bimal Verma. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. We're also joined by Air Marshal Dheeraj Kokreja. Admiral Verma, your earliest memories of Group Captain Singh, tell us something about him which we don't know, something that you found inspirational.
Let me begin by saying that Colonel KP and Oma, that's the parents, and a few veterans here, we are part of a very close group. And literally we are in and out of each other's life on a daily basis. Colonel KP, and as has been brought out, they were out and out a Fauji family. So when you enter the house, the first thing that strikes you is this picture of the dad in army fatigues, Varun in Air Force, and you have Tanuj in the naval uniform. You can't miss. The sons have been so handsome. In fact, I do remember telling him once, "ये आपके ही बच्चे हैं, इतने अच्छे दिखते हैं." Outstanding. He was an ideal son, ideal father, ideal husband, and ideal brother. That's all I can say. We have met him a couple of times whenever he came here to Bhopal to meet his parents. And this letter from him to the school principal speaks volume about his attitude and his character.
Yeah. And
it has been covered. A test pilot, then a staff college abroad, and he was also being shortlisted for the Gangayaan space mission. All this, such a beautiful life, cut short. Recently only we had this party for the Shourya Chakra that he won. And tomorrow we wait here in Bhopal for his mortal remains to come. What a sad day.
No, it is very much, sir. Air Marshal Kokreja, he won his Shourya Chakra, which is the 3rd highest peacetime gallantry award, for handling a major in-flight emergency on a Tejas aircraft. He was well within his rights to eject, to bail out of the aircraft. Instead, he chose to be with the aircraft despite a decompression issue on the flight, and I think a control system error as well. In doing so, he was able to land the plane safely and enable engineers to figure out what went wrong. In effect, he probably saved many more lives going forward. What does it take for a man to stay with an aircraft in the face of a grave in-flight emergency?
first of all, my heartfelt condolences to the family on the passing away of Group Captain Varun Singh. And, what makes a man in such a way that Varun was, is the training that was there, the motivation that is there, the grit and determination that comes through the training, because he was so sure of himself that he would be able to handle the emergency. And he realized the gravity of the situation, that if he leaves the aircraft, if he ejects from the aircraft, which nobody could have questioned him for that decision. But if he leaves the aircraft, like you said, the cause of the snags that had occurred in terms of the depressurization, of the control malfunction, all these things would not have come to light and could have happened again to somebody else, maybe less experienced or maybe in a critical stage of flight.
Yep.
So here was Group Captain Varun Singh electing to stay with the aircraft because not only because of his flying experience, but because of his training as a test pilot.
Yep.
And with the knowledge that he had at the back of his mind that, yes, notwithstanding all the problems that he was facing at that time, that he would still be able to land the aircraft, and that comes in with self-confidence, and which comes out in the letter that he has written to his schoolmates, the youngsters who are still in school.
Yep.
That even being mediocre, don't give up.
Yep.
And you should just strive to achieve more and more.
Yep.
And that is what he did with all his hard work and his attitude.
Yep. Admiral Verma, what I found, and this is something that we don't talk about enough, in as much as it's a personal loss, obviously, to the family, to the Air Force and to the country. The loss of somebody like Varun Singh is also the loss of an incredible amount of skill and experience. The armed forces, in this case the Air Force, really need that skill, because as somebody like him rose up the ranks, and he was a test pilot, not everybody becomes a test pilot, the skills which he picks up would be transferred to an entirely new generation of officers. If there was ever a conflict, the learning which he had, the knowledge of the systems, could have been transferred to others if he didn't go to war himself. This is something which the Air Force will lose, the skill and the knowledge which this man had.
I absolutely agree with that. Having been at the senior position in the Navy, we also dealt with such cases in the service. And believe me, when we lose a pilot, along with him goes a lot of things, which means, as you mentioned, training, straight away the operational capability of a unit is, sort of affected. So it's a huge loss, not only to the nation, of course, family, but nation and the service as well. Totally agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Air Marshal Kukreja, just the skill level required for someone to become a test pilot, that also a test pilot flying a very new aircraft in the Indian Air Force, the Tejas. How difficult is it to actually achieve that?
The selection process for becoming a test pilot is very, very strict. I think I read somewhere, whether it was a part of his letter to the students or somewhere else, that out of the numbers, only about 5 or 7 are the total applicants. Total applicants are somewhere around in the 20 to 30 or maybe even more. Mm-hmm. And they also come from the Navy now. There are naval test pilots also who apply for this course which is conducted in Bangalore. And out of which first a written test, then an interview, and then some sorties with experienced test pilots, and to see their aptitude to whether they have that, they have it in them to become a test pilot. Then about 5 or 7 or at the most 10 are selected, and not more than 10. Normally it is in single digits.
Sure.
And then the training starts, and there is a tremendous amount of pressure on these young students who go in for becoming a test pilot, young pilots. They have to burn the midnight oil. They have to prepare for a sortie for the next day, and then try to decipher as to what happened, and then read the graphs and what have you. It's a very prolonged thing.
Sure.
And obviously he had it in him. He had that attitude to succeed. He had that in himself to do well, and to put his mind into whatever he wanted, to succeed in whatever he wanted.
Sure. In fact, I don't have much time left, so I just wanted to read a little bit from that letter that both of you have been referring to. I found this paragraph to be quite interesting. It is okay to be mediocre. Not everyone will excel at school, and not everyone will be able to score in the 90s. If you do, it's an amazing achievement, and it must be applauded. However, if you don't, do not think that you are meant to be mediocre. You may be mediocre in school, but it by no means is a measure of things to come in life. Find your calling. It could be art, music, graphic design, literature, etc. Whatever you work towards, be dedicated, do your best, never go to bed thinking, I could have put in more effort. Never lose hope, never think that you cannot be good at what you want to be. It will not come easy, it will take effort, it will require sacrifice of time and comfort. I was mediocre, and today I have reached difficult milestones in my career. This is a 39, 40-year-old man writing this. Do not think that 12 board marks decide what you are capable of achieving in life. Believe in yourself, work towards it. What wonderful words, just reaching out to students. Admiral Verma, would you like to, just reflect on these as we end this bulletin?
Absolutely, these are so inspiring. Leave aside the children of that age. Even a person at my age, we were so overwhelmed by this letter. And as I mentioned earlier, the character that he has, it all comes out there. I tell you, this is having known the family and Group Captain Varun, it is totally a disaster and a great loss for all of us.
Yeah, it is indeed. Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the loss of this brave soldier.